A while ago, I received an email from a lady whom I had never met. She stumbled across my YouTube channel and she wanted to share something with me. She told me that she was born and raised a Catholic and was educated by Dominicans. By the way, me too. But she had left the faith when she was young, and she ended up joining the United Church of Christ. And then feeling called to do something more, she entered the seminary and was ordained a minister, and eventually served as a pastor. And she retired a few years ago. My life, she wrote, has offered some very interesting and at times challenging experiences. At 72, she said, I have arrived at the point which begs for spiritual re-examination and exploration. And then she went on to describe how excited she was about Pope Francis, a man that she called a shining example of leadership and love, providing much-needed light for my life. And for reasons that she couldn't even explain, she felt herself kind of drawn back to the faith that had formed her, and which had played such an important role in her life. You don't get emails like that every day, especially from people you don't know. So I wrote her back and I told her I'd be praying for her on her journey, wherever that may lead. And I wasn't sure that I would ever hear back from her again. But several weeks after that exchange, I did. And she wrote to tell me that she had gone to Mass on that Ash Wednesday. And the desire to reconnect with her faith was growing, and that she had made an appointment to talk with a parish priest. And after decades away from the Catholic Church, she wanted to come home. I thought about that woman and her journey when I was reading this weekend's gospel, because it's a story about another woman's journey. It is a story very much about conversion. And like so many conversions, it is brought about because of thirst. And even though it is Jesus who asked for the drink of water, ironically, it is the woman who is really thirsty. And isn't that true for all of us? We are all, in a sense, that woman at the well. We thirst. We thirst for love or mercy or understanding. We thirst for justice or peace. Our throats are parched by indifference and selfishness and cruelty. We feel ourselves spiritually dry. We thirst for a wholeness. We thirst for grace. And when we find it, like the woman at the well, not in ordinary water from a deep cistern, but we find it from Jesus. Among other things, this episode illustrates a reoccurring theme that happens in all of the Gospels. Encountering Jesus changes everything. We hear it in the Scriptures again and again. The blind see, the lame walk, the dead rise. The sinner is forgiven. A woman who just wanted to get some water finds her whole life is transformed. And so a conversion begins. And it is not a one-time event. It is the journey of a lifetime. Conversion is part of our own Lenten story. During this time, we are seeking to be something better than we were. 2.5 weeks ago, as a sign of that, we were all marked with ashes. And we joined Jesus in the desert. And now we spend the time looking more closely at who we really are. What have we become? What do we pray to be? And in our own deserts, we thirst. But this gospel tells us that whatever we are thirsting for, whatever is lacking in our lives, Jesus will provide. He offers us living water. This gospel reading, I think, has so many layers. Like the well, it goes real deep. But there's one detail that I find especially striking, because it tells us this incident is not just about some random meeting with a Samaritan woman on some hot noonday. It is so much more than that. This incident is really all about resurrection. It foreshadows Easter. It is an encounter with hope. Easter morning, you recall, Mary Magdalene meets Jesus outside the empty tomb, and then she runs to tell others what she's seen. And here, in this gospel, another woman encounters Christ by the well and also runs to tell others what she has seen. You see, the good news can never be contained. The woman bears witness, and then others do likewise. And then nothing stays the same. An encounter with Christ, an encounter with grace, changes everything. And Lent is all about seeking that encounter, desiring that change. We want to alter the direction of our lives. We thirst for that. And very often, it means that we want to come home. And so last month, I wrote to that minister to see how that meeting went with that priest. And she wrote back, "I cannot begin to tell you how extraordinary it was." She met with the priest after a Sunday Mass, and for the first time in decades, she received the sacrament of reconciliation. He heard her confession, and she told me she hopes to receive the Eucharist. "I did not go to bed until late Sunday night," she wrote. "I was too wound up. I have been on the move ever since." And I imagine that woman at the well felt exactly the same way. So please keep this woman minister in your prayers, and pray too for all who are making their way to the church, especially for our own candidates, Ethan and Maxine and Melissa, as they prepare for this Easter. And please remember that we are all here because we thirst. We are all here because we are each on our own journey of conversion. Because that's the journey of Lent. That is the journey of these 40 days. But it is also the journey of a lifetime. And may that journey draw us all closer to Christ, because an encounter with the Christ changes everything.